Diane Selkirk. She's down farther on the list in terms of who's speaking. I want to thank everybody for a valuable day to listen to our candidates for office. And I also very much want to thank the 8 of you who are running for the positions on the board. I'm, and Jerry and I have talked about this. I'm totally blown away by the expertise and commitment of the people who have said, I'd like to run. And Jerry and Katie are going to be in wonderful shape going forward, whatever the results of the election. But I really want to thank you for agreeing to participate in this process and serving on the board. It's, as anybody who's been on the board knows, it is a very important job. A lot of good, important decisions are made. A lot of wonderful work has been done in the last couple of years. It's been a huge honor for me to be president. I realize I'm now a lame duck president. So I have as little power as I ever had. Nothing has changed that way at all. But I'm really, really pleased to convene this meeting today. We have, as I said, 8 candidates, and each of them, no, Katie, I haven't forgotten you. Each of them will be given not 3 minutes, but because one is doing it by video and gave us a 3-minute and 37-second video, you all have up to 3 minutes and 40 seconds, just to punish her by 3 seconds for doing that. As the candidates also know, I did a random draw out of my old course golf hat and came up with a list of the order for the 8, and they are aware of it. So welcome, everyone. Before that, I'm very pleased. It's been announced, but I want to just underline it and applaud it. Our vice president, who is signed on therefore for the next 4 years, because after 2 years she becomes president, has been acclaimed, Katie Conklin. And congratulations, Katie. And Katie is going to have, you don't get the extra 40 seconds, Katie. You just get 3 minutes or less
That's
to
okay.
say a few words.
Thank you. I won't take up a lot of time, but I can just give a very, very brief kind of maybe background into why I decided to, vie for this role. So like you said, my name is Katie Conklin. I'll be your incoming vice president, which I'm really excited about. I've worked in the travel media space almost my entire career. So almost, over 10 years at this point, but I've been a TMAC member for that entire time. I joined the board at the recommendation of Pamela Wambach at Tourism Nova Scotia a couple years ago, and I started off as secretary, and then I quickly was asked to be co-chair of the conference. And I was like, I don't know much about this, but I am happy to raise my hand and do that. And I'm so glad I did. And that was alongside Rod Charles at the time. That turned into running conference this year. This was a huge time-consuming, detailed role, but so grateful to have done it because it really taught me about the needs members have. So without that, I wouldn't have really known deep down what the core of the organization is. Other than I was on various committees and meetings and have just a wonderful insight to the organization now. And I'm just so passionate about the industry at this point. So in the end, all you need to know is that I'm not scared of hard work. I'm not scared of putting in time, putting my hand up and helping out where I can. I think I'm pretty reasonable and logical. So that's pretty much it. And I, of course, really look forward to working with Christine and Jerry and whoever the new board ends up being. That's all I really have to say.
Thanks, Katie. Thanks very much. Okay, I'll just let you know, just to review the order that we drew out of the hat is Nadine Robinson, Vladimir Jean-Gilles, Jody Robbins, Kevin Wagar, Mary Charlson, Tanya Kadikian, Diane Selkirk, and Nancy Bordelot. So we will start with Nadine Robinson. Tell us about yourself. You're muted. You're muted, Nadine.
Good. Great start.
We're going to start you again.
Okay.
Yep.
I hope that everybody knows who Spider-Man is. And it was Stan Lee who wrote for Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. And I actually see being a board member as a great responsibility. And I'd like to tell you why I stand out as a candidate. But before I do want to say that we do have an amazing slate of candidates, most of whom I consider a good friend, and that's great for TMAC. But back to me, because I do want your vote. Most fundamentally, I believe in doing everything with excellence and passion. My goal has always been to leave the world a better place than I found it, and I'm a doer with a strong results orientation. My background is really diverse, spanning both public and private sector careers. And I understand the industry side, having been a professional marketer for 10 years. And I bring with me a strong financial acumen because I started my career as an accountant at Deloitte many years ago. I was also a business professor for over 15 years, have a doctorate in business administration, an international MBA, and a Bachelor of Commerce. So I know one or two things about leadership and running things and business in general. I've sat on various boards over the years, Health Informatics Institute, Arts Council, the Anishinaabe Train Board, and have volunteered for Rainbow Camp. I'm an active volunteer for the Canadian Freelance Guild. Today, I didn't want to run for the board before working on a committee, so I did start off with the professional development committee. And back to me being a doer, as a committee member, you're supposed to be in charge of one PD session per year, and I think I'll be at 3 by the end of the year. And many of you saw me as a keynote speaker when I spoke about artificial intelligence last year. And I believe that and the fact that I'm an award-winning freelancer shows that I could probably communicate effectively in this role. But what really sets me apart is perhaps my inclusivity. I'm about building bridges and not walls. And I feel that as a member of TMAC, we're blessed with opportunities so many people never have. And we have a responsibility to our audiences and each other. And none of us should feel entitled or criticize volunteers from the sidelines. And I hope to foster an environment of constructive criticism and a place where we can celebrate each other's achievements. If elected, I promise to be action-oriented, bring fresh energy, fresh ideas, and a collaborative spirit. I'll represent beyond the GTA because I've lived in Northern Ontario for 20 years and now in Ottawa. We'll represent both official languages, like when I moderated TMAC's first bilingual PD session last week. I don't favor any type of content creator, and I recognize the importance of striking a balance between industry and well-qualified media. I want to continue making TMAC even more approachable, inclusive, dynamic, and future-ready, and I hope to earn your vote and the opportunity to do so. So please vote for Spider-Man. Oh, wait, okay. Vote for me, Nadine Robinson. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadine. Nice job. Next, Vladimir Jean-Gilles.
Yes. Thank you very much, everybody. First of all, I'm so excited to be to stand among you among this amazing lineup of candidate. I fell in love with TMAC in 2022. I've had the pleasure of joining TMAC as soon as I started my job at Ottawa Tourism. I am currently the travel media relations manager for Ottawa Tourism, and I was mentored very closely by my previous boss, Jantine, who was part of this organization for a very long time. And upon day 3 of joining this new industry, my first task was organizing a luncheon for TMAC. And the way I was welcomed into the industry, I'll always remember, like TMAC was the first member of it's the first piece of the travel media industry that welcomed me into the industry, and that stayed with me very dearly. My parkour in media is very full of a lot of different experiences. I've worked in all aspects of media, traditional as a content creator, as for traditional outlets like the CBC. I've been a radio host. I have a passion for media, but most importantly, my dream has always been to work with travel media creators and journalists. I have the utmost respect for each and every one of you, and everyone that I get to meet. It's just a luxury for me and a blessing to work with all of you. I see TMAC as I see TMAC as a very special organization, an organization that is so inclusive, that was very welcoming of me, and my first time at TMAC was as a sponsor for Ottawa Tourism, as a platinum sponsor for Ottawa Tourism, and you guys have brought nothing but amazing things into my life, and I want to be able to repay that forward, with as much kindness, as much passion, and as much gratitude as you guys have provided me. So if I earn your vote today, I'll make sure that I'll earn it every single day as I sit on this board. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vlad. Appreciate that. Next, Jody Robbins.
Hi, am I unmuted?
Nope.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. Sorry. Hi, everyone. I'm Jody. I'm a freelance writer based out of Calgary, Alberta. Probably a lot of you know me as a traditional writer. I frequently write for Post Media News, the Toronto Star, Zoomer Magazine, and Elle. Previously, I've done a lot of online content for MSN and Reader's Digest. Something that surprised me is actually, I checked this out the other day, 40% of my income comes from my blog and social media campaigns. Additionally, I've written a guidebook. I appear frequently on broadcast, morning shows in Calgary and occasionally nationally every 4 to 6 weeks, sharing travel tips and tricks. And I currently write content for 2 tourism boards. Every quarter that happens. So I think I've ticked almost every box on the membership criteria points table, except for vlogging. So I have a pretty good idea of the needs and the challenges that media definitely face. Because before becoming a travel media, I worked for a provincial government doing a job similar to a lot of DMOs. And except with media, I was hosting tech entrepreneurs and leading trade junkets to the US and Russia, amongst other countries. So I definitely understand that government obsession with recording numbers and that sort of thing. I've also worked as a contract worker for PR companies, doing media profiling, writing press releases. So all of this to say, I think I'm a pretty well-rounded candidate who knows both the industry and media side fairly well, as I've had experience in almost every pocket of it. And like Nadine, I've been a volunteer for some time. I didn't want to run for the board before knowing exactly what this entailed. So about 10 years ago, I spent 2 years on the our provincial Prairies Northwest Territories chapter, volunteering for them for 2 years. Then I did 2 years nationally, and it was kind of like a subcommittee. We started up the social media part of TMAC, setting up Facebook and Twitter. And I think that job just got absorbed probably into the communications department. And for the last year, I've served on the membership committee. I'm still a member of that committee, and that's probably why I'm running for the board, because I'm pretty passionate. I would like to see change with TMAC. I think it's an evolving, changing organization. And if you have any grumbles at all, I think this is the opportunity is to put the work in yourself, which is something I'm quite happy to do. I'm a doer, I'm a busy person, I've never missed a deadline, and I've never missed a meeting. And, April 10th is going to be 100 days into the new year. I've been away for 40 of them. So I'm only here around 50–60% of the time, but still I make the effort to attend every meeting via Zoom, no matter the time difference, and I'm very happy to do that. So I hope to earn your vote.
Thank you, Jody. Next, Kevin Wigar.
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Perfect. Sure, I can see everyone. There we go. First of all, I just want to thank everyone who has talked and those still coming. This is an organization that we're all passionate about, and I think everyone presenting today would make an excellent choice to help TMAC move forward. This organization is packed with some of the most wonderful, insightful, and intelligent people that I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. But I'm not here to sugarcoat things, because the travel media landscape is an ever-changing battlefield right now. For those who don't know me, I'm Kevin Wager, and I've been involved with travel media for about 10 years. I'm running for the board because I believe that TMAC is vital. This organization is a lifeline. And I want to do whatever I can to help it continue to be that. I launched my first travel website, Wandering Waggers, back in 2015, and with a lot of hard work, it clawed its way up to about 250,000 visitors a month. TMAC recognized that with the Best Travel Blog Award in 2019, and SATW did again in 2024. Along with my good friend and business partner, Chris Mitchell, we decided to double down and launch Ultimate Ontario and We Explore Canada. We started those not just to showcase the wonders of our home country, but also as a support tool for our fellow writers in an industry that seems to be squeezing us harder and harder every year. We Explore Canada snagged second place for Best Travel Website at TMAC in 2023. We built those platforms not just to showcase the destinations and the experiences in the country, but to give Canadian voices a chance, because let's face it, the traditional routes are starting to struggle. And as all of you know, the industry hasn't been easy. Before this chaos began, Chris and I, along with our fellow TMAC members, Chris Rutter and Catherine Dixon, started the Toronto Blogger Collective. It grew to 800 members and is still growing. It's free and it's about connections. There's no industry allowed, although I think a few of you may have snuck your way in through the back doors. We foster professionalism, learning, and community. We host events and try to build something solid in a world of shifting sand, just like TMAC does. But the TBC membership includes those who don't qualify for this prestigious organization. And that's an important point, because it's the quality of our membership that makes the TMAC organization influential. And keeping those standards high is crucial to this organization surviving and thriving. The changes that we're seeing, they're not slowing down, they're just accelerating. TMAC has been a lifeline for many of us, but we need this organization to be more than just a pat on the back. We need it to be a tool, a shield, and a survival kit for the travel media industry. And I hope that my experience as a writer, editor, publisher, and community leader will help me to be a part of that process. Thank you all for your time, and good luck to everyone.
Thank you, Kevin. Mary Charlson cannot be with us today, but has sent a 3-minute and 37-second YouTube. Christine, can you run that for us now?
We can't hear it. At least I
I
can't.
think you need to unmute it.
Yeah, you just got to unmute it. Yeah, right there.
Take it back and start again, and hit the mute button at the bottom left.
Good afternoon, as it might be there. My name is Mary Charlson, and it is an honor to be able to have an opportunity to speak to you by video and share a few words. I just want to say it's difficult dropping into this when I don't have the context of the conversation. I want to say that it's fantastic that the board has the former leadership of Paul Knowles, and we've got Jerry stepping in as a strong leader in this coming term. And it really speaks to the association and its succession planning with Katie as the VP and then the incoming president, plus 8 people running for 6 positions. So I just want to say it's an honor to be amongst this as the group. I'd like to join the board just it's based on this notion of service, and it's really something that governs everything that I've done throughout my entire career. Whenever I contribute and get involved more, I've always found that it not only helps those around me in the association, but it returns itself tenfold. I've done that with past associations and boards. I'll speak to that in a moment, but I just want to say that is really what is driving me. I've gotten to know many of you by attending the conferences, by being involved in that capacity as a relatively new member, and now I'd like to step in and have an opportunity to serve. A little bit about me. Many of you know me, but some of you may not. My travel writing brand is called carryonqueen.com. Yes, I never check a bag, never have, never will. I write on the site, but I also write for traditional media, Post Media, Vancouver Sun, Zoomer, Globe and Mail. But I also do content collaboration, affiliate marketing through my site, and out to a solid group of subscribers through my e-newsletter. So I bring together both sides of travel writing as it's evolving. I also come out of a career as a marketing speaker, consultant, writer at 5minutemarketing.com, and where I have the last number of years been focusing more on consulting for the travel industry and working with DMOs on their marketing, but also bringing together that skill set as a writer. So I kind of come together at the intersection of the two brands, bringing together those skill sets. And I see it as a pivotal time for the association, where we've got media under threat. Our travel Canadian voices matter more now than ever, but also having an awareness and skill set in that digital media. And I think I can bring a unique skill set to the board with that. I do have some past board service. I have worked on the CAPS Association, so Canadian Association of Professional Speakers BC chapter, for a number of years. I also served on their national board for a 3-year term as the communications chair. So I just want to wrap things up and say thank you again for the opportunity to my fellow candidates, Nancy, Vladimir, Tanya, Jody, Nadine, Diane, and Kevin. It would be an honor to have an opportunity to serve with any of you. Thanks again, and sorry that I couldn't make the meeting. I'm probably landing in Vancouver about the time that you're watching this. Thanks, guys, and I hope to see you soon.
Okay, well, I'm going to wait until we get our screens back. I don't have a gallery screen. There we go. Thank you. So next, Tanya Kadekian. Tanya?
Thanks, Paul. Hi, everyone. Tanya Kadikian. I've been a proud TMAC member since 2017. So I am up for re-election. Right now, I currently serve as a board director. I'm also the chair of the National PD Committee, and I'm the co-chair of the 2025 conference. And my TMAC volunteer kind of origin story started back at the Sault Ste. Marie Conference Gala. There was an impromptu need for help, and I jumped in when the award ceremony was going on to lend a hand. And honestly, it was in that moment, it was chaotic, a little bit funny, and just completely hands-on, that made me realize that this was the community I want to be a part of and to really uplift. So from that moment on, I have been fully engaged with TMAC in every way possible. I helped to actually launch the Professional Development Committee in 2020, where we first started creating virtual sessions that supported both media and industry during the pandemic. And since then, I have done everything from moderating some of those panels, like editor panels, to hosting myself LinkedIn profile workshops. I even co-hosted a conference PD session with Jerry on best pitch practices. So really, I've worked tirelessly to make sure that our PD programming meets the needs of all of you, our community. I'm also really excited to share that I helped to bring in Yan Martel as one of our keynote speaker for this year's conference. And I'm really proud to just serve alongside Katie as the co-chair of the 2025 conference. It's been a great experience. And so I'd be honored to serve as chair for 2026 as well. But really through my time at TMAC, I've also worked hard on the industry side, securing sponsors, particularly from my DMO clients. I've made it a priority to bring in crucial funding to make sure that we continue to deliver on exceptional programming and resources for our members. As part of my efforts, I've had the pleasure of hosting many Ontario Munch and Mingles, and other events that have really just strengthened that connection between media and industry partners. So I am on the industry side as a member at TMAC. I work at Development Counselors International. I'm the Senior Account Director in Canada, where I lead all of our marketing strategies for Canadian, US, and international destination clients. I've hosted many content creators, many media, several of you who are on the call right now. And so I know firsthand how important it is to create meaningful connections. I've worked in communications for over a dozen years. My roots are actually on the media side. I worked in radio broadcasting at Astral and Bell Media before I started working at DCI. So I bring both industry expertise and an understanding of what our media need on basically both sides of the coin. So honestly, I hate the self-promotion, but I am a strategic thinker. I'm a hard worker. I genuinely love our industry, and I love TMAC. TMAC is family. I've been part of other organizations, but nothing compares to the bond that we share here. We are navigating this tense political climate and the complexities of cross-border media relations. We need leaders like myself who can really bring people together, advocate for our community, and just strengthen the association position within the industry. So I would love to continue being part of that leadership. That's all.
Thank you, Tanya. Next, Diane Selkirk.
Hello, good morning. I'm happy to be here amongst all these other people who are running for the board and thrilled to see so many people running. I am wrapping up my first term, just like Tanya is. My origin story with TMAC goes back quite a ways, and then I was gone from Canada for a number of years and rejoined in 2018, I guess it is. One of the rules in my family when I was growing up is you can't complain about anything unless you're actively doing something to fix the problem. So when I was concerned about how part of our awards were running, mainly we had the same judges for year after year after year and the same people winning year after year, I became interested in seeing our judging panel diversified and joined the awards committee as a volunteer. We diversified our judges. We pulled it and we created a lot more categories so that there were categories for more members. And from there, I ended up as co-chair of that committee and then ran for the board 2 years ago. And my goal has always been to look to our entire membership and try and meet the needs of everyone. It's really easy when you're on the board to sort of advocate for your own. And I think it's really helpful when we look at people more broadly and look at the skills they're bringing and look at the needs. So that's been one of my goals is I tend to be a traditional journalist and I know what we need, but that doesn't always match what other members need and what other members are looking for in TMAC. So that's been my big push is to try and understand us as an organization as a whole and the diversity of what we're looking for and also elevate who we are, look at the level of professionalism. So it's not just what the media side is after, but also what our industry members are looking for in media. So making sure that we're reaching those professional standards that are useful to them and that our organization is sort of moving forward in our rapidly changing field. I know I'm not preaching to anybody that this has been an industry that's gone through some crazy upheavals. And those of us who are still standing after the past 5 years can have only done so because we've learned the word pivot a little bit too well. And that's been sort of what we do constantly. I'd really love a few years where we don't have to pivot constantly, but I don't think that's part of our future. So my hope is to continue with TMAC. I think there's been some really great work done to move us forward, to increase our level of professionalism. I love our new website. I'm really proud of our awards program that it's meeting so many different needs. We had more entries this past year than ever, despite the complexity of the platform. But I'd still see lots of work that I'd like to be involved in and would love to continue in the role of being on the board. So thank you, everyone, for listening to me. And that's me.
Thank you, Diane. And Nancy Bordelot.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for your patience. So I'm the last, I hope not the least. I will do my best to finish this presentation in a good way. So here we go. I'm Nancy, and I'm sure you can probably hear I'm from Quebec. I've been working in the web media field for over 12 years now. I have a website called Cinq Fourchettes, which translates to Five Forks if you're curious. It's a website that focuses on gastronomy, culinary travel, and recipes that I developed myself. I'm also a photographer and a food stylist. So as you can see, food is very important to me. So this means I will make sure to feed you with kindness and hard work because I have my heart everywhere I go. I put my heart everywhere I go. So In my spare time, I also organize influencer events for my Quebec clients. I also wrote 2 cookbooks. I do a radio segment, conference, TV show, and write for magazine. I have a background in computer science. Having studied computer programming, I'm able to understand the tech challenges that some of you may face and help with that. I also work for as a headhunter in my past year, and my persuasion skills are such that I can say with confidence that many people have joined TMAC after I pitched them the idea. So this is good for the organization. I was also president of the school board at my children's school for years, so I know how those committees works, and my experience in that field could be an asset for TMAC. I'm sure of it. Speaking of school, having successfully raised and nurtured 3 beautiful, incredible children without losing my patience and my sanity. And I think that makes me a superwoman who is ready to receive all constructive comment and find solutions so that everybody's happy. If I can do it with 3 teenagers, trust me, I can do everything. Nothing scares me at that point because teenagers are the worst, trust me. So I truly believe that these life experiences make me a good candidate, well equipped to help the TMAC organization that I love so much. I love projects, and I feel that this will be a wonderful opportunity for me to take on challenges while also providing support to TMAC. And yeah, so I will, of course, bring a little French touch and try to convince my French-speaking colleagues to start a chapter in Quebec, because let's face it, we are missing the boat here. Like, we are so late at doing it. So here I am with all my heart and skill, hoping that that I could do more things for TMAC. And if I can, I will say some word in French because I find it important. Pour mes collègues du Québec, ben, je pense qu'il est temps d'avoir des représentants francophones au sein de l'organisation. Alors, ben, je me présente en toute humilité en espérant vous représenter de belle façon. So this is it. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Merci, Nancy.
No problem.
All right, we have an opportunity. If anybody has come to the meeting with questions, let's make this simple. Simply unmute, state your name, and then whether the question is for a specific candidate or for everyone. If it's for everyone, I will moderate that and indicate the order in which people can give, please, brief answers. So if anyone has a question, unmute yourself and ask.
Well, I raised my hand. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I will now lower my hand. Hi, Claudia Leroy, Vancouver, British Columbia. Thank you very much to all of the presenters. And thank you all for volunteering to run. That's a really big deal. And representing TMAC and the membership, in addition to the existing directors and executive, is a huge deal. So thank you, and kudos to all of you for putting your name and your time and your talents forward. As several of you indicated, and I think Kevin touched on it the strongest, the travel and media landscape, we're facing some serious, and in some cases, well, seriously challenging, and in some cases, existential threats in the near and long-term periods. We're talking about AI, its impacts on SEO and search, US travel politics, all of the challenges around that, and the climate crisis. I know at the last conference in St. John's last summer, I was touched on briefly. In my view, I think it really glossed over how devastating AI has been to our members and their livelihoods. It's been huge. I am in the freelance world. I also retain and started off in the blogosphere way back in 2010. And there have been a lot of changes, and they have not all been good, as many of you know. My question to the candidates, and it's to all the candidates, whoever wishes to address it, in the time that we have, Paul, wanting to be sensitive to the time, is how will you help TMAC lead in these challenging times and defend our profession in a realistic way that really tackles head on the issues that we are all facing, with the caveat that we have to be realistic to the power that we do have individually and as a group. So thank you all very much for your comments. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. Okay, we'll give the candidates a chance to answer in the reverse order in which they presented. So, and you can keep, or you can decline and pass. That's up to you. But Nancy, first, please.
Yeah, for sure. I do think those problems can be solved, or at least we can help by teaching everybody some tools that we can manage to, yeah, like conference and PD session to know how to navigate it. For the AI, that question is always coming, how to use it in a good way. And I think I cannot do everything for those kind of, like, I cannot change climate, but I can I think manage to find a speaker to I'm so sorry for my English right now. So yeah, a fine speaker to teach us how to be more careful, how to navigate in those problems. It's the same thing for AI, for SEO. I think with the right tools, everybody could go further and not be like concerned about losing jobs or losing working stuff with magazine and stuff like that. I'm not sure that is very clear. It's better in my head in French. I'm so sorry for my English, but that's, yeah.
Thank you. Diane.
Thanks, Claudia, for like a really broad and difficult question. One thing that I think as board, we have taken on a lot of the questions you're talking about and have discussed them as a board. And I would love to see some of those discussions that we have become more transparent to the members so that they see the various perspectives that we take into account when we make a decision. Because I've learned a lot from other board members about things that I think seem incredibly practical and make total sense to me when presented by another board member will point out that from their industry or from their employer, they can't go the directions that I think we should. However, I think as an organization that we should be taking a stand on some things like AI. I think we should be and this was discussed, a very clear message to our members, to our industry members about AI usage, and that it's one thing for our industry members to, oh yeah, you people should, you in media shouldn't use AI because, you know, y'all lose your jobs. But we're doing all our in-house marketing using AI, and without really thinking about the fact that that's also what we do. So we're all losing work there. So coming up with standards and discussion points on a lot of these things will just take more back and forth, more growing, more professional development, but transparency, I think, is key. That as the board goes through some of these issues, that we share those back and forth discussions so that it doesn't look like we're making decisions and not taking into account all the different voices, that those are reflected back, that we've things have been heard and the decisions were made because of these reasons, but that we stay flexible and willing to learn. So that's the best I can do because those are complex and none of us get to solve them, but we all get to keep grappling with them.
Thank you, Diane. Tanya?
Awesome. I do want to flag to everyone on the call that what Claudia's role actually is, like not being on the board, but Claudia actually leads something that TMAC calls a sustainability study group. So I'm glad, Claudia, that you're asking this question because I know that this is something that is deeply impactful to you and the way we perceive, you know, the work that we do at TMAC. I'm the current board steward of this sustainability group. So I work right now with Claudia and the team of the group to really understand the weight of these issues. And we're constantly discussing potential motions that TMAC can take action on that works for the association and truly the industry as a whole. So I understand the weight of these issues of the many different things that Claudia is asking here. There are clear challenges like the climate crisis, AI, and with sustainability is overwhelming at times, but approaching them in a way that's both realistic and actionable in a professional context is important. As individuals, Claudia, like you're saying, we may not have the power to solve these global issues overnight, but collectively together, it's impact that's important. We have that unique role in the industry promoting, looking at ways that TMAC can promote responsible tourism practices, raising awareness about sustainability efforts, and creating even valuable resources for our members to apply these sustainable practices in their own work. For instance, Katie and I have been doing really good work when it comes to the conference and ensuring that conference really looks at sustainability through a lens from, for example, even working with the future host committee like Jerry to make sure that we have sustainability principles within the RFP that, a future host cannot sign unless they agree to these kind of rules that TMAC has put together. And just really making sure that we have sustainable event practices in our own gatherings. They may seem like small individually, but they do contribute to a larger movement that shapes the industry standard. And I know when it comes to AI, we don't need to be leading the charge in AI development, but we can lead in AI education. And so part of our mission, especially on the National PD Committee, is to really just help the industry as a whole, so media and industry members, stay ahead of the changes and just providing resources on how AI can complement our work, not take our work, whether that's in content creation, marketing, and not detracting from the authenticity and human touch that makes your work as travel media so impactful, but just looking at different ways to utilize AI rather than having it replace our work. It's a lot to tackle, but the key is to recognize where our collective power lies. And so if my goal being on the board is to really elevate conversations that make this achievable, listening, educating, advocating, supporting each other. That is really the best I can do while being someone who can continue liaising with the sustainability group and just finding ways to implement these practices into every part of each committee.
Thank you, Tanya. Kevin.
First of all, great question, Claudia. I mean, this is a big part of why the industry is changing so much. I mean, one of many landslide of things that are causing the industry to change at such a rapid pace. One of the things I didn't touch on when I was talking earlier was that I've been a member of the TMAC membership committee for the past year. And one of the things that we've been working on for the last little while is clarifying wording regarding membership requirements. I think something like that goes along with what we need to do with AI moving forward. This isn't something that's going away. It's something that every single one of us is going to need to include in our everyday work life moving forward. It's simply a part of the industry. We can choose to ignore it, or we can choose to accept it and learn how to adapt to it. That being said, one of the key things that I think we as an organization really need to focus on is educating our members on how to use it properly and understanding where it's being abused, and ensuring that that isn't tolerated within our organization in order to keep the standards of our membership high. We want genuine voices and authentic media to represent this organization, in my opinion, at least. And I think finding ways to identify what is valid, at least in the items that are presented to us for membership and awards and things like that moving forward, is something that we can look into and work together towards. And just continuing great PD sessions on, how is AI integrating, infiltrating, and adapting in our industry so that none of our members get left behind.
Thank you. Jody.
Hi there. Yeah, Claudia, really great question. And if I understand it correctly, it was, how do we think we can help lead and defend the profession when we're really faced with these issues from AI to climate change? sustainability, threats to Canadian sovereignty, travel in the US. These are all issues that we're dealing with. How would I do that? Well, first thing I think a good leader does is listen. So I would definitely be listening more to our membership, which is vast and very diverse. And with listening, I think I'd be canvassing a little bit more. And that is something that I really advocated for on the membership committee. Certainly, I think I'm quite well-rounded with my membership makeup, but does it really matter what Jody Robbins thinks the number of subscribers for traditional media should be, or the number of UVMs for bloggers? Certainly I have an opinion, but I think the opinion of the whole is better than a data point of one. So one thing I have been successful in doing on the membership committee is getting more surveys sent out to industry, also to other members to ask those questions. Education, I think, is also key when we're leading. And definitely we can do that through PD, we can do that through sharing knowledge. But the one thing I think is missing is the ethics. I don't think TMAC in general is touching on the ethics of how we travel, if that's sustainable or not, the use of AI. Sure, we talk a lot about how you can use it to your advantage, how we can do this and that, but I think there is a huge ethical component to TMAC, and I think as our membership components, it's all really a mixed bag. No longer can somebody just be in the traditional media camp or the new media camp, or I'm just a PR. We see PRs acting as influencers. We see PRs going on press trips. It's the Wild West out there. So I think what TMAC is missing and what I hope to bring in is that question of ethics. So how can we do everything fairly and transparently?
Thank you, Jody. Vladimir?
Yes. First of all, thank you very much for that question. I love it. There's a few things we can do. Number one is taking the lead as an organization in our industry, to really, well, when it comes to the sustainability, I'll start with that. We could, as an organization, we can take the lead in holding different key players accountable, whether it's DMOs in developing the right strategies, or whether it's content creators or journalists, and making sure that they follow certain that they follow, well, our sustainability strategies, but also encourage the sustainable tourism and sustainable practices. That's one thing. In terms of AI, like many of the fellow candidates mentioned, AI is something, it's going to be around. We have to either adapt, and if we choose to ignore it, it's probably not the best way to go about it. So what we can do, number one, is empower our creators. We are in the business of selling experiences, not things. I say we as someone who represents a DMO. We sell experiences and not things. And the thing with experiences is that people can feel when they're real and when they're not. Number two, in order to, when we talk about traveling, it goes hand in hand with the tourism industry. And in order to boost tourism, what encourages people to actually travel is whether or not they feel a sense of connection, a sense of an emotional pull towards whether they're reading an article, whether they're watching something on YouTube, whether they're following something on Instagram, and it makes them want to go ahead and have that experience, that experience. So by empowering the people who are promoting these authentic experiences, and by giving a certain amount of respect and empowerment to their voices, this is the number one thing that we can do in order to counter the negative effect that AI could have, without obviously leaving aside the positive things that AI can bring. Another thing that we absolutely must do is encourage journalistic integrity. It's no different from, if you were in college and you have to hand in an essay, did you actually write it? Well, that's something that we can hold each other accountable about. It's how we talk to each other, how we review each other, how we review the metrics of success in terms of how our piece is doing, how we measure KPI and the return on investment on who we're working with, what we're working on, and all that kind of stuff. So encourage journalistic integrity, and it goes hand in hand is ethical journalism. I mean, that part is what it is. We are all, in a certain way, no matter what hats you're wearing, we're all representative of the tourism industry, of the travel industry in some sort of way. And it starts with the small decisions that we're making, and it's pretty much working hand in hand with one another to establish what these small steps need to be, and how do we make sure that we all follow them. If we make all the right small decisions in the long term, it can have a positive impact on how we integrate AI as a tool, but also how we grow as an organization, as AI becomes more and more prevalent in our everyday lives. So thank you very much for asking that question again.
Thank you, Vlad. Nadine.
Okay, I put on my special answer gloves just specifically for the ladies that I told I was gonna sport these puppies in a moment. I'll say this, I've been a lifelong learner, and being in the educational sector, I think that the answer to the question is in staying curious, staying relevant, and maintaining a focus on new trends. For myself, I learned about AI in the college field with my students, and then I went on to learn enough about it that I was actually just one of two consultants who delivered the AI training for the Canadian government's pilot project for launching AI. And if the government is launching AI internally, then guess what? It's definitely not going away. And we do need to understand how to work smarter, not harder. And as you know, I delivered a session on AI at the conference last year, and it was just a way to level the playing field so that we could all know what we were talking about. But now we need to move forward to understand what is TMAC's stance, because we can't say you can't use AI at all, otherwise we all have to throw out our computers. AI is now integrated into many word processors as well as into our Gmail, so we can't just say a yes or a no, we have to be informed, and that's part of the lifelong learning that I bring to the table. I believe we also need to look into how we can help lobbying efforts with our organizations like Access Copyright. How do we make sure that TMAC is saying that we stand by the copyright of our content creators? I also believe that when it comes to issues like sovereignty and sustainability, and some other very challenging areas we're facing right now, it's all about staying informed, listening to what is important to members, and trying to walk the right path. I've got a painting on my wall that talks about integrity is the one path upon which you'll never get lost. And although sometimes we try and get lost as we travel, that's one path I'm not willing to stray off, but that we do need to solicit member feedback. We need to be respectful of each other when we are having these conversations. I've noticed a real degradation of that lately on some of the TMAC chats, and I'm going to be looking to make sure that we are constructive and positive and find a way to have these conversations to the benefit of all members.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for your answers to that. We're going to move on to a next, I think Erica has a question for us. At least I see her hand up, but
Yeah,
before
I
you,
do.
before you,
And it
before you
actually-
ask Erica, please,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask everybody to try to keep your answers to within about a minute and a half. I'd appreciate that. I'll time it, and if you go past that, I'll just cough or something. But I'd appreciate that, so we get a chance to cover a number of things. Erica, tell us your question, and if it's for everybody or somebody specific.
Yeah, it's for everybody, and it sort of follows up what Nadine just said right now is you know, part of the organization is about being professional, respectful, and the heart of, you know, that family and that support, what we're all about, requires us to treat each other with respect. And I think we've seen quite a bit of bullying happening in the Facebook community over the last few months. Got a little bit better after SATW made their announcement to their members, but I would like to hear, I guess, how people would approach that as a board member.
Okay, I'm going to sort of start in the middle and work in both directions. So Kevin, I'm going to let you lead off on this one.
Oh boy. Yeah, I have yeah, I've seen a few things going on in the groups. I mean, as a whole, I find this is one of the most mutually respectful groups uh, that I've been involved in. There are very few people who go out of their way to make things difficult for other people. But that being said, it's any organization, especially one with members who are as passionate and political and intelligent as those in TMAC, are going to have differences of opinion. Kind of going back to my last statement about AI, I think it needs to be very clear within the organization what is tolerated and what is not. And if we can work together, we can have conversations that are difficult and challenging and uncomfortable without hurting people and attacking people. Everyone has an opinion that is valid to them, and that needs to be respected, no matter what any of us think about that. That being said, if something is being said that is harmful to others, then I think we need to have a concrete plan to deal with that, and that's something that I think that the you know the organizational membership needs to come to an agreement on as a whole.
Thank you. Tanya.
Um, does everyone remember when registration didn't work? That was a fun time for me. Um, we have seen the Facebook group have some bullying and disrespectful behavior. I guess the good thing that I can say out of that is that we're passionate. We're very passionate people. We're passionate about the work that we do. We care deeply about TMAC as an association. But this really just highlights that there's a need for clear and consistent guidelines that, prioritize positivity and inclusivity. And I understand with the rhetoric today and politics that positivity is hard to come by. But, as a board member, I do advocate and I continue to advocate for guidelines that are swift, but offer empathetic action when it's needed. I would love to see more on educating members on respectful communication. Maybe that is a PD session that we can lead for 2025 on handling conflict, training on handling conflict, and really help to set the tone for a supportive community. Sometimes it is a good reminder to have things like that. But ultimately, it's really just about ensuring that every member, whether you're on the media industry side, whether you're a content creator, traditional journalist, you're a DMO, you're an agency, that we're all safe. We feel safe together and we feel valued. And as leaders, we have to model those behaviors and promote accountability across the community. And so that's really all I have to say about it when it comes to that Facebook group. So, yeah.
Thank you. Jody.
So another great question. The best advice I ever got was actually parenting advice when I interviewed some parenting expert. And they said the only two things you have to remember about being a good parent is consistency and consequences. Those two things, that's it. So yeah, I agree with a lot of what the other candidates are saying. I do think that TMAC is a great forum and a great place for us to exchange ideas. You may not like the ideas expressed by others or agree with them. But yes, I think that definitely there needs to be respect there. And I think respect is what's missing. And when that happens, in a professional environment, it can feel personal, like a personal attack. Erica mentioned the word bullying. And I think to alleviate that, yes, it would be a great idea for TMAC to establish some standards to communicate what those are, and then if we need to, unfortunately, enforce them.
Thank you. Diane.
Personally, one of my favorite uses of AI is when I've written an email because I'm really annoyed with somebody, I send it into ChatGPT and ask it to rewrite it as a professionally polite email that's persuasive versus pissed off. And I've found that it's a fantastic way to reframe how I'm thinking, and it's actually super effective. So I recommend that if you have hate emails that you're writing, because we all have those moments where we're heated, where something isn't working, and we forget there's a human at the other end who's put a lot of work into things. And I think that's what's happened on our Facebook page a number of times. And then sort of that panic snowballs and people pile on the complaints, and the person who has done all the work that's sort of at the receiving end is getting more and more injured. And we're all volunteers, and we know what happens. So as far as that goes, barring everybody rewriting things through GPT before we put it on that board, I'd like to see us moderating it a little bit more, empowering members to use the button that says report this, so that we can let people know that maybe they should have rethought that comment, and encourage sort of kind communication. I don't think anybody intentionally hurts one another on this, and I think it's really easy when we're sort of caught up in the moment to forget that we're dealing with other humans. We all work quickly and we work passionately. So I'm done.
Thank you. Vlad.
Yeah, I love this question. There's a saying that I go by. It's something that I carry as as my motto. Um, you can't do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that you can do. When it comes to an organization with people as passionate as us, people are gonna get heated, people are gonna get passionate, and and no one, from what I know, is in this business looking to add negativity in the world. That being said, I don't think respect is negotiable. Everyone who's in this who is in this industry, who found themselves in this industry, has found themselves in the industry because they made a series of good choices and they've put in a lot of hard work, and that hard work needs to be respected. So I think I'm very confident that there's that we know what our culture is at TMAC and as an organization, but I think we shouldn't be afraid to enforce the what these values are when you sign up and you join this organization, because everyone here loves what they do, they're passionate about what they do, and bullying, whether it's online or in person, there should be no tolerance for that whatsoever. We can have civil discourse, we can interact with one another, we can share disagreements, that's fine, and they will happen in a family. Every cousins, every aunties, every uncles, we all go at it from time to time, and sometimes that's healthy, but there's an unhealthy way of doing things and there's a toxic way of doing things, and by staying ahead of that, I think we're preventing things from uh, falling into a situation that we'd rather avoid. So for the sake of the health of the organization, let's empower each other, report report those things and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Thank you. Nadine.
Well, I think it was Martin Luther King that said it's always the right time to do the right thing. Just to jump onto Vlad's quote train there, I really believe that the Facebook group is important, but we should discuss how it should and shouldn't be used, because half the time the message I'm seeing in TMAC on Facebook is you should be sending that to Christine. Maybe we need to revisit what Facebook groups is for and what it isn't. And maybe what the members are saying is that we need more ways to communicate regularly with TMAC, and we need to look at that. But I already said it in my previous answer. Any communication needs to be positive and respectful. And I don't think we have a lot of room for things that are just criticism instead of being constructive criticism. So I'm all for putting in some guidelines as to join the TMAC Face group, and also how we should use it going forward to communicate more with members, not less.
Thank you. Nancy.
Yeah, I do agree with everybody. It is important to say things. It's okay to have a place to talk freely, but I do see overflow from time to time, and sometimes I jump and I say this is not the way to set things. I think it's important to gently remind people of the basic of politeness, like a sort of, I don't know, a guideline maybe that we could implant. Passionate people tend to sometimes like overflow, but I'm used to moderate like huge crowd with my job, and I think being patient is the key, but sometimes it's good to just say like you are going too far. So don't be afraid to talk and to moderate the Facebook. This is a place to talk, but this is a place to talk in a positive way, and it's very important. I think that TMAC has a guideline for that, like more strict maybe. So that's my
Thank you.
That's it. No
Thank you very
problem.
much. I'm noticing that our participants are slowly drifting away. I'm not surprised. We've been here for more than an hour. I know we scheduled it for longer than that. I don't see any hands raised, so I'm going to suggest that we wrap this up. I want to remind you of a couple of things, and then I'm going to give our incoming president an opportunity to say a couple of words before we go. So first of all, don't forget that you can contact any of the candidates with any questions. All of our contact information is on the website. You can also contact me or Jerry if you have any questions, complaints, or want to impeach anyone. Yeah, that was supposed to be. Thank you. I want to also tell you that voting, it's been announced, it's from tomorrow on. Actually, this afternoon, well, at some point today, the voting will be open. It's by SurveyMonkey. You will be asked your name. That is not so your vote is going to be recorded in any way personally. It is to guarantee that you only vote once. That's the reason you're being asked. It's not being retained or kept. So that's what we did last year as well. And following the vote, the closing of votes, they will be tabulated, and then each candidate will be contacted individually to tell you what the results have been. And then we will announce it to the membership. It has to be ratified at our AGM, but and then successful candidates will join the board as of the end of conference in June. So Jerry, would you like to make a couple comments and a thank you as we go?
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. And thank you, everyone, for taking the time and answering that question. This is like one of those Miss America pageants where they give you these very difficult questions up front and you have to answer them. And then you get decided if you make the cut. So it's not an easy, it's like, how do you solve world hunger? You got 2 minutes, go. And I know it's a difficult thing, but you did a great job. And under the tutelage of Paul, who I've worked with, I've had the pleasure of working with, this coming year, we're going to be touching on a lot of these things. You know, Tanya mentioned about, registration. Hi, website. I was in charge of the website, and to see a lot of the feedback from people, it's disheartening in a way. And people need to remember that we are all volunteers. We're not saving lives at the end of the day, but we're trying to steer the ship and keep it going. So I want all of you to remember that it may look daunting, but we're here together as a team to do this. TMAC has always been an esprit de corps, a French term meaning a fellowship, a group. And it's very important for us to remember that. We're going to have differences, but those differences are going to help us come together and solve things. And I just wanted to quickly just share that we've been here a long time, and I look forward to serving with many of you that I've worked with, traveled with, met with, or at least laughed with. So I look forward to it.
Thank you, Jerry, and thank you everyone for being here today. And good luck to all the candidates. I'm very proud of you for being willing to step up. And I'm looking at, there's part of me that'd like to stay on the board for 2 more years, just to work with you guys. However, that's not allowed, and that's probably a really good thing. So thanks a lot, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.